All
All
right.
right, welcome back, Cheech and Manny show. No longer music show. I'm gonna change it to
No.
Cheech and Manny show, or maybe the Cheech and Manny special, the Cheech and Manny
Yeah,
hour, right? Where you tune in into our conversation and please join in. All we're missing is live audience. I think we're all set.
I
But
know.
all right, right.
Let's just hope we don't wind up like Jimmy Kimmel. No, I'm just kidding. We are
Well,
not political on this
we might
show.
be careful because YouTube's on the hunt right now, so they're
I know.
canceling people and like
Yeah,
taking down videos if you like curse.
I know. Oh, yeah, I got to be careful.
Yeah, it's crazy,
People
but
be.
I know. But
To
anyway,
our
this is
to our
all
younger fans out there,
right.
and there's a special one. Thumbs up to you. You know who you are. Won't say your name.
I might maybe I'll link it with this video along with the Amityville, just so our audience can see
Oh
uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
the cool stuff these little young lads are doing. But
yeah.
yeah, man. So today we have a great episode for you. We're gonna be discussing a little. Well, actually, we're gonna open up the Warren case files, right? And
Yep.
you got a whole thing going on. We had as of yet, and it's gonna come out. We did or you did, and me joining in. We did a sort of little crash course on the Warrens, a little bio, a little
Yeah.
history, and I guess this is perfect for autumn and Halloween. We're gonna
Yeah,
be
definitely.
delving into the Conjuring movie universe,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
story, the real facts. I know this is a special, very interest for you. For me, I like
yeah.
looking at it. I mean, I love the Conjuring movies. The Warrens are fascinating, and the demonology is fascinating as
Oh
well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You
It
know.
goes along with a lot of spirituality, philosophy, and a little bit of psychology too, because um,
Because a lot of it is schizophrenia with some people. I mean,
right.
there's a lot of like a good demonologist, will bring in many people, scientists,
Yep, that's what a good
a
exorcist.
priest. I mean, it's not say demonologist. Really, it's a priest. Ed Warren was a demonologist. He was one of the few in the world. But let's just say Catholic priests. They'll bring in a psychologist. They will bring in scientific people. Then once the possessed person starts talking about what your grandmother used to call you when you were three, then you gotta say, wait a second,
Yes.
or when a 5-year-old kid is speaking in Aramaic, it's like, whoa, 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 something's
And
right.
those are the signs that a lot of the exorcists, and maybe we'll have an episode on exorcism, and like
Yeah,
maybe we'll look at the where that came from, and maybe some of the famous exorcists. But that's
yeah,
what they confirm that there are signs, and we just got to rule out the psychiatric because sadly, people do suffer from like illnesses like bipolar disorder,
yeah,
schizophrenia, dissociative disorder, which are actual things, even depression
yeah.
to a certain
Oh yeah,
extent, right? Like that flat affect where people are just like talking like this and
yeah, yeah,
think
yeah.
that they're under some possession, but really they're not. But then
No,
you
no.
actually have demonic possession
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I
because
think demonic possession. There's the physical, superhuman strength,
yeah,
powers of the mind, speak with languages you've never studied. And
yeah,
then, when I say powers of the mind, being able to read
yeah,
personal things.
knowing information that the person would have no knowledge of.
Exactly.
Where like a good psychiatrist, psychologist person has to do like an eval, making sure this person who they are, get a little bit of background on them, and if they sort of start saying knowledge that, how would you know that? Like what?
Hmm.
And you've seen these cases with children sometimes
Yeah.
children will know odd things, right? So it's like, how is that possible if you've never been in this part of the world or you know
Oh, yeah. It's crazy.
that? But
Um,
yeah, but
and
today
I-
we're gonna be talking about The Conjuring, all
we're
right? The
talking about the
movie.
Conjuring, the movie versus facts. I
And
made
by the
a
way, this is the first Conjuring movie directed by, I believe his name is James Wan.
yes,
This
yeah.
is the
This
first
this
Conjuring
is the
movie.
one, the
This is
main
the one
one.
that kicked off everything, and it's going to kick off our new series on the Conjuring universe.
Yep.
So, if you want to learn more about it, you have an expert right here. And then,
Thank you.
obviously, we're going to be going back and forth between facts, reality, and like the demon. Like, if you
Yeah,
want demons and true exorcism and seances and all that, tune in,
yeah,
subscribe, give this video a like, and
yeah.
leave a comment. What do you think about this stuff? Anything? We'd love to hear your comments. And
Definitely.
that being said, we're not putting a rest to music, not at all. I just think that we're gonna transform this show into the Cheech and Manny show, like a Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Live.
Oh, he got canceled, right? Or like,
Take it over.
or like the Tonight Show or something, where
Yeah,
we
yeah.
in at a certain day and just watch our conversations. But that
Yeah.
being said, Cheech, what episodes are out right now? What do we got that are really?
Oh boy. We what do we have? Oh God, I lost track. I mean, we put Desire out. Oh,
Well, let
oh,
me
oh,
ask you. Let me ask you. You've seen the recent episodes? Which has been your favorite?
Dark Weather and Desire.
I'm not gonna lie. Desire with Joe Silkman.
Yeah,
Damn, Joe's on, and I know
it
he
was
has
the best.
fans out there. He's the best. So knowledgeable, so articulate. I feel like this
Oh,
it's like the
I,
our version of the professor.
yeah, yeah. And honestly, the one that's gonna come out, our
Special.
we haven't finished yet. Our favorite.
No, no, no. It's our ongoing series. I'm thinking of titling it the Joe Special or the Joe Hour, where it's like just
Yeah,
us three. You know how you do the midnight special, like the Joe
yeah.
special or the Silky Joe special or something like that, where it's gonna
Hmm.
be an ongoing thing where we and we're gonna talk like the one that as of yet has to come out is concerts, but Joe had an interesting angle on it. I'm not gonna spoil it for our
Yeah,
viewers out there. Very interesting, but if you love stuff about like love, music, and like that romance tie into it, you want to
yeah.
check that out, which is actually the next episode is gonna come out. And I agree with
Definitely.
you, Dark Weather was so good.
It really was.
Nebraska as an album is fantastic. That's what
Yeah,
kicked it off, and we discovered a new insight. And let me hear your take on this before
yeah.
we get started. But I find that it's interesting. Bruce Springsteen has women fans, right?
Hmm.
The women fans don't like Nebraska. So one of the things I
So true.
discovered is that can it be a very masculine album with masculine themes? And the other thing too, also a person very close to me was wondering why are we doing an episode on Starkweather and why did Springsteen devote a song topic about him? And this person didn't get it. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because males get it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here, what energy are we tapping into here? What do you think, Cheech?
I think it's a male thing. I think it was a midlife crisis thing for Bruce Springsteen, and I think Stark Weather might have reminded him of his past a little bit
Mm.
growing up, like his father, having not a good relationship with his father. So thank God he chose music instead of spree killing. You know what I mean? So he might have
Yeah,
saw James Dean. So
right,
there's a lot of influence in Starkweather that could influence Bruce
right.
Springsteen. Not God forbid the killing, Mr. Black. Go away.
Mr. Black, he's the by the way, Mr. Black, our
He's the Ghost Writer.
we have Black Dog Joe, right? And
Yeah.
it's Led Zeppelin, and we got Mr. Black, who's the actually writes the scripts.
Yeah, he writes through me, like Madame
He's in the
Blavatsky.
seance energy and he writes.
I get it. Yeah.
But Cheech, I agree with you, man. I think I'll be honest with you, and let me know if you and for our males out there, let me know if you there's something that we do identify with Starkweather,
Yeah, yeah.
something there. And it's interesting because we look at first of all, he's a monster for sure.
Oh, he's a beast. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Different
evil.
kind of monster in comparison to like Jeffrey Dahmer, which stay tuned, that's coming out.
Yes.
Different kind of monster. But that being said, it's funny that a lot of males, not the killing themselves, but they do identify with these people, right? In a way,
Yeah.
maybe Springsteen. And again, for a female, I think it's hard to understand. And
Yeah.
the Nebraska album for a lot of girls, and I'm not saying there are girls or women that don't like the album,
Yeah. Yeah.
but what I've seen the pattern is that it's not their favorite album.
No.
And could it be because of the acoustic lo-fi sound? Could it
Could
be
be.
the challenging lyrical content where you actually have to listen
And think, and,
think? And maybe it's
no.
a philosopher's album. Like I feel
Yeah,
as though this could have been Neil Peart's favorite album, for
I
example.
think
Like
so. Yeah, yeah.
Neil Peart was there, and just our obligatory Rush reference, which
Oh
we
yeah.
gotta do. While Getty and Alex maybe wouldn't like it, but they'll be more of the Born to Run side or like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just fascinating. And
I
please,
I think Dylan fans like it. I think, Dylan fans
100%,
love it 100%,
100%.
But yeah, I thought I love the Starkweather on the our favorite concert, which we have not even got to. I don't know. We just went, I don't know. Joe did such a great job.
Yeah, I mean it's an ongoing series, and we're gonna also. I feel as though the concerts are just such a fantastic topic. It's one of those that will never end, because
Yeah.
we had a tangent on Peter Gabriel, which we
Oh
didn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then we had a different tangent on like we could even like talk with Joe. Like this, Joe has an interesting take on concerts, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
kind of opened up Pandora's box when we said, should these Asian rock stars still tour? Even though
I know,
they may look like zombies, right? Or
I know,
like crypt keepers, should they? And Joe had
I know.
we'll definitely go into that. But
Right.
any shout outs, Cheech, man? By the way,
Oh
before we start,
yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a pretty big deal here. I got
Mr. Carrero, the People's Bassist with the People's Band, was in Amityville, and I heard you guys
yes.
played a rocking show in
Yeah.
Massapequa.
We played a rocking show in Massapequa at a great bar called Prohibition. Go there. I know it's 2.5 hours away. It's past Jones Beach, but it's a metal bar. There's a freaking metal bar in
Yeah.
Massapequa. I mean, I felt like I stepped into the 80s. I couldn't believe it. And had this one fan who like loved us, fell in love with the band. A shout out to him. Really like a lot of good fans. We had a great show. You know, Bobby rocked, Vincenzo on the guitar killed it, and of course Robbie, one of the best drummers I've ever played with. And we just had a great set. I posted some things on my Facebook, which you could see. And then after the gig, we looked for Amity. We looked for what is the street now? I'm blanking out. 112. How could I blank out on the street? My brain is whatever the name of the street is. There's one in Massapequa. If you I don't know if you could Google it Google the street quick. God, I swear I'm getting like early Alzheimer's, man. I swear.
Oh gosh, Amityville, hold on, Amityville. I'm gonna put like house address. See what that gives me. Oh, Ocean Avenue.
Yeah, okay. So we went on Ocean Avenue in Massapequa because Massapequa's so big. So we get out and we're like, this ain't Amityville changed the address from 112 to 109. I looked that up. I knew that. So I was like, this shit ain't Amityville. And Vincenzo gets out of the car and he's like, I don't think so. So then we asked some dude, like a bum on the street, who was like going through people's garbage. I'm like, excuse me, do you know where the Amityville house is? He's like, dude, you're not in Amityville. You're in Massapequa. You got to go that way. So we said, all right. So we drove, and then as we started to get up the street, pass out of the town, it started to get darker. The streets are darker and darker and darker. Then we're
Spooky.
driving, and like, boom, lightning bolts go on. There's the freaking house. And you can watch my video on. We should link it up. I just did a quick little like shout out to Amityville and the Warrens and Hans Holzer and the Fayos and everything. So, and then a lady looks out the window and she's on the video. I sent you, and I see that one picture I sent you. It
I
looks
did. Now hold on. People are living there?
people live there. A lady looks out the window. You see her like spying, and
Oh,
and
creepy.
Vinny's like, a lady's like looking out the window. Maybe we should go because we were there like for a half hour. And they're used to this shit, especially all around this time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I looked up the previous, the owner now, doctor, some with blonde hair, so she fits the description. Now, if I saw a woman with black hair look out the window who was a teenager, and it looked like Dawn DeFeo, I'd be shitting a brick right now. But it was a blonde haired, middle aged type of woman. So, but that was my night, and it was fantastic. And I also made friends with Chris McKenna, who is the Warrens' grandson, and I've been, hitting him up for some, answers to the questions I'm looking for on the Warrens. He was on all the cases and stuff. So, but you want to jump into the Conjuring?
Let's do it. And so we're gonna be talking about the first Conjuring movie.
Yeah,
This was I don't know if you have any facts on the movie, Cheech.
yeah, yeah. I got some.
Facts on the movie for our viewers, and from I guess I before you did you researched the history on it, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
got I got a lot of the history on the actual story, which was not in the movie.
right.
Really.
And before we get started, just so people kind of know a little bit about it, it was the 2013 film. It was a hit. The Conjuring. I consider it one now. obviously you're a horror movie fan. I'm a horror movie fan. I'm
Yeah.
also a critic of many things, including movies. The Conjuring is actually pretty well done. It's actually pretty frightening. Has a lot of good, like really jump scares. It's a fun jump scare movie, but also like really creepy and
Oh yeah, I didn't sleep when I saw, like, I put it up as my top three.
I would say,
Exorcist,
yeah.
Amityville, and
The
Conjuring. And the
I,
first Friday the 13th I would put as four.
I would do Exorcist, The Shining, and then The
Oh
Conjuring.
yeah, yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
But it was directed by James Wan. And again, 2013 movie. It stars Patrick Wilson, who I really appreciate. Vera Farmiga, I think, another
yeah,
great actress, as Ed and Lorraine Warren. The film is based on the real life 1971 case of the Perron. I'm gonna say it in Spanish, but because of double
yeah.
R. But the Perron family in Rhode Island, and
Mhm.
you'll illuminate us with some facts.
Oh
Who
yeah,
are haunted by an evil entity in their farmhouse. The
yes,
Warrens are called to investigate the increasingly disturbing events, and it leads to a battle with supernatural forces. And just it's rated R, so kids out there, you should not be watching it. We're not recommending.
yeah.
If
No,
you're
it's scary. And there's a couple
It's very
scenes,
frightening. Yeah, yeah. I definitely I don't think kids should watch it.
couple of Bathsheba scenes that are, now I look at it, and I'm not as scared as I was in the beginning,
Same,
you know,
same.
but there's one that still gets me because the room looks a little bit like my room. You know, when Bathsheba's like on the bureau and shit, that's like,
Yeah,
ooh, that's brutal. But
yeah.
anyway, yeah, you covered, basically the intro and for the movie, so I'll get right into the facts.
Get right into it. Now, and again, we have the Ed and Lorraine episode coming up, so I'm sure you're
Yeah,
not gonna go too detailed in the bio,
yeah.
but where are you gonna start?
I'm just gonna give you the facts about the Perron family moving in and then leading up to the history of the house. There's a lot. There's a lot to it, but we'll do this in two parts if we have to.
Right.
January 1971, the Perron family moves into a 14-room farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. First, let me get the names out there. You have Roger, the father, Carolyn, the wife, the daughter, Andrea, the oldest. Now, she's the one I got most of my research from because she wrote a lot of books and
Right.
she knows everything about this. Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and the dog. Um, Kind of like it's very much like Amityville. It's before Amityville, but it's like, except minus. Well,
Well,
there is a lot of history of bad. Yeah, it's very much like Amityville. Let's put it that way.
right. Now tell me, just for our viewers out there, what
Yeah.
took place, this one or Amityville?
What do you mean?
Which took place first?
Oh, this one. This is 1971. Amityville was 74 when Ronnie started shooting up everybody. But the actual haunting of Amityville was probably 75 when the
A-
Lutzes moved in.
And I guess, and this was in the year where, what year was this? With the
1971.
1971. So just based on the Warren history, were
Yeah.
they on the up and coming?
They were out on the lecture circuit. They didn't have any books out yet. And they were doing, and it was still new to them, demonology. Although Lorraine was an amazing psychic, a medium, uh, Ed, a demonologist, they didn't have a lot of big cases yet,
Mhm.
that I know of, that go into the 60s. So they were just doing like smaller cases. Um, in the beginning, they were going to people's houses locally that they heard were haunted and knocking on their door saying, "Can we investigate it?" Because Ed was a cop at one point and he was selling his art. So then eventually they would do lectures and teach people about this in college. So this was, a lot of people were interested in this at this time, and that's how I forgot how the Perons got hooked up. Somebody who knew them said was a cousin or something was at the Warrens
And Cheech,
lecture.
they were an actual family that actually existed.
This is a real family. This is a real family. 1971, they moved into this beautiful 14-room farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island. Carolyn and Roger and their five daughters, who I named. So things started very small. Okay, this was their dream house. It was like a ton of acres, 14-room house. The house goes back to 1670. That's how far as
So
it
that
goes back. Oh, it's old. Um, Things started small. A broom would go missing and it would move around from place to place. So they were kind of confused what's going on. Then there were sounds in the kitchen and there
Mm,
was no one there. And then they found piles of dirt in the kitchen floor. They were like, who did this? They were all like yelling at each other. Who's moving stuff? That's what the ghosts do at first. They trick you.
right, right.
Then finally, the girls start to see actual ghosts moving around the house, but they felt that they were harmless. There was a couple that were angry. So Carolyn, the mother, was creeped out. I mean, wouldn't you be right? You move into a house and you see a ghost. And you told me an interesting story. Oh, what did I do? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. New phone. You touch anything. Uh, you told me an interesting story about a ghost story, but we won't talk about that. But
Which one? Which one? Oh yeah, well let's talk about it because I think it's what you're raising now.
yeah.
Now,
If you want to, because I know it's personal. Like.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
No,
cool.
no, no. It's fascinating, and again, for our viewers out there, I told the story to Cheech. Now I have not seen a ghost. Do I want to see a ghost? No, because I'm good. Because just imagine this family was freaked out. Who the hell wouldn't be freaked out? But
Oh yeah,
my dad has this house in Guatemala, right? So shout out to my dad.
yeah.
And
Shout out.
there is some sort of spirit or ghost or specter that keeps sort of eyeing him, keeping an eye on him. So it's kind of
Yeah,
really creepy. And I'm not going to lie, when I was there, I kind of felt something. So I kept,
yeah.
and my brothers too. So we kept getting kind of nerved out. My dad has accepted it as part of the house. Occasionally,
Right.
you'll be watching him, right? He'll
Hmm.
be in the corner or just like following him. And again, any other person would be really spooked out and be like,
Oh yeah.
um, and I guess what's interesting though is once they start now it hasn't done this, but the my dad's ghost just looks at him. And my dad
So he sees it.
he sees it occasionally. Yeah, at first it freaked him out. Obviously, he said he had to drown in whiskey to try to
Yeah,
because he's alone down there. But
yeah.
the ghost just gives him like a little tip like that. So it's a what does the ghost want? We have a couple of theories. The house could be haunted, right? Who did it belong to
But,
before?
but it's nice that the ghost is friendly and giving him that.
Right.
And
It's like a Casper, the friendly ghost.
exactly, I was thinking that.
But for our viewers out there, I know this is hard to believe, but obviously the Perone family saw these things and got really freaked out.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they knew how old the house was
Right. Right.
when they bought it, and it gets creepier by the previous owner. Um, so the basically I hope I didn't skip anything. The previous owner handed the keys to them and said, "Sleep with the lights on."
Wow.
And he jetted, like that kind of thing.
What, dude? What if like you're buying a house and like you sign the papers and they're like, yeah, make sure you leave the lights on when you go to bed. I'm like, wait,
Yeah, that's what the previous owner said. And you know, so Carolyn researched the house. Um, and it was the same family, I get this, that lived in the house for 8 generations. What
mm,
is what is 8 generations? Like how many years is that?
dude, that's if I put an estimate, assuming that everybody lives 60 years, that's like 800 years.
Crazy, right? From
Crazy.
seven, it was built in this like late 1600s, and people didn't really start to live in there until 1700s.
Right.
So it had many names: the Dexter Richard House, the Old Brook Farmhouse. When the Perones bought the house, it was called the Arnold Estate. Now, this is where most of the ghosts come from. I believe they're in the Arnold's era, which is the 1700s. Um, and the previous owner gave him the keys and said, "Sleep with the lights on." Okay. And the husband didn't know how to take that. Like maybe like, oh, just maybe we're in the woods, maybe there's robbers, that kind of thing.
Of course.
So after that, you know, like so after this bad stuff started happening, Cindy, the daughter, said she would see things move around in her room in different positions where she left them. Like you go in your room and you put your shirts on your bed, and then all of a sudden they're shoved in another drawer. And then, of course, being kids, she'd be yelling at her sister, "Why are you touching my shit?" That kind of stuff. So they were
Right.
fighting a lot, and the ghosts want that. They want to break a family up. They want a lot of anger. Andrea, the older sister, said that all the sisters would not sleep because they heard an evil voice in the room, in their bedroom. Andrea had her own room. The two girls slept in another room, and the voice would say in a deep, like demonic voice, "There's seven dead soldiers buried in the wall," over and over. Now, this land was built during this King Philip's War,
Mm.
pre-Revolutionary War, and they fought battles on this land. So there were soldiers built in the house. And just a side note, King Philip's War should be taught more in history leading up to the Revolution. Just my on an education note, it's kind of skipped over. They skipped over the French. It was right before the French and Indian War, King Philip's War. And it was local. It was Connecticut and Massachusetts and Rhode Island. And you're gonna laugh at this. So the house,
And should we do a quick history lesson on King Philip's War, or just pass it over?
no, 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 we don't have a lot of time.
I know you and I. That's fascinating because I agree with you.
I'm a big King Philip's War
Yeah. No, it's
historian.
fascinating because it's like this is what occurred before the obviously because of the American Revolution, but
Yeah,
you even had like the French Indian War, which also gets kind of
it's one of you need. That's the most important war, I think, leading up. Well, obviously
you
the
know it's
Revolutionary War.
crazy. The movie and book as well, but the movie Last of the Mohicans portrays that conflict,
Yeah,
right? It's wonderful, which it portrays the French Indian War and like
yeah,
the French pitted one Indian tribe against the other tribe. It's
yeah.
like
The Iroquois, they didn't know what side to go on. They were kind of conflicted. They wanted to go on the French because the French were obviously better than them, and Canada's right there. But they did choose the French, but some of them went over on the American side. It was like the Abenakis were on the French, and the Abenakis were a fucking brutal tribe. But we could get into that. But thing about the King Phillips is all the descendants of the Indians and the white settlers in the King Philip's War, those were the pilgrims that were friends with the Indians
yeah,
3 decades before that. So your grandfather, your great grandfather, right, was friends with the King Philip's, people, tribe, and you end up
Conjuring,
fighting.
King Philip. What was he the king of? Who is he?
I got it. He was just the head of a lot of the tribes in the area of Connecticut and Rhode Island. Like he was like the main guy. Um, I got to brush up on exactly like all of his stuff. His what he did. I used to be so into it, but I just know that he was on the run. They were
Right,
trying to fuck him up pretty bad. And they did get him and stuff like that. But the
right.
point I was trying to
And this is
make is
Indian history too, which is fascinating.
in the Pilgrims fought against the Indians 2 to 3 generations later, which is so sad. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
so, but those soldiers were buried in the walls of the house. So there's a lot of history, of war on the land.
Yeah,
Um,
yep.
they made friends with a ghost. I got this from one source. They named him Manny. Thought you'd get a kick out of that. A
Wait,
woman
did
ghost.
did they really?
Yeah, I didn't know get much more out of it. A woman ghost would kiss Cindy, the little girl, when she was sleeping, and she thought it was her mother, but it was really Mrs. Arnold. And we're going to talk a lot about Mrs. Arnold because it was the Arnold estate when they bought it. Now, the Arnold estate is around the Revolutionary War times, maybe a little bit before that, um, or King Philip's era. So, then they heard a little girl crying out for its mother. The beds would start to move up and down. Then they started to smell rotting flesh at 5 a.m. every night. Mrs. Perrone would wake up and see an old woman with her head hanging to one side of her body over her bed. Now, that's the whole Bathsheba theory, but I might debunk that theory, in my opinion, today. Uh, the old woman was saying, "This is evil, man." I don't know if they said this in the Conjuring movie. Get out, or I will drive you out with death and gloom. And that's pretty freaking scary to wake up and see like a Bathsheba looking lady with her head hanging off of her body saying that. But I'm not sure it was Bathsheba. I'm thinking it might have been Mrs. Anderson, but we're going to get into that. So it was way too much for the family to handle, and they couldn't move because it was during the Nixon presidency. Things were bad in America financially. They were stuck there. They were stuck. They couldn't leave. And Andrea Perron says that when people say, "Why didn't you move?" They're like, "We put all their money in the dream house," and it
Well,
was
well, just think about it. I mean, yeah, I mean, a person would be like, you know what? How come they just move? You know?
yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah,
talking about first of all, this is way back then.
yeah.
So you didn't have the same quality of cars, first of all. And
No.
to move was probably expensive. Families used to load up their cars, everything piled up
Oh
high.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
first. Second, we're living through tough political times. Not everybody was rich, right? So the time that they're living in was pretty tumultuous, like economically.
yeah, yeah.
Again, it's like once you put
Now they did have money because the father, what's his name again?
moving isn't they bought the house. Once you do that, it's oh like it would be so hard to, you know,
Yeah,
pick
like Roger, the father, he sold jewelry for a living. So the guy made some money, you know. So they you know, and the house was probably crazy expensive because it was an historic house, you know.
it looks like a nice house.
It's beautiful, you know. Um, so Karen couldn't take it anymore, so she started to do her own researching about the house. She needed to know more about it. She went to the local library and dug up crazy shit. Now, remember, we said how many generations did I say? Like it was like eight generations. So 8 generations of people lived in this house. Um, People died around the house. A girl drowned in the creek. People were murdered in the house. The King Philip's War went on during the property. Um, People killed themselves in the house. 8 generations of people lived and died in the house. 2 suicides by hanging, 1 suicide by poison. 11-year-old boy was killed by a farmhand. 2 drownings. 4 men froze to death around the house. She found all this in the public records. Now, that's a lot of death, not counting the King Philip's War. So this is basically, as like Lorraine Warren put it, like purgatory. There's like lost souls. There's not one ghost. It's not one. It's not like Amityville. You know, it's like there's a well, Amityville could have been, you know, if you count the DeFeo family, but this is like history of people from the early 1700s that died there.
Hmm.
Um, so any questions so far? I'm
I think
good.
it's pretty, I think you're setting up the scene here, and I think a good insight is that it wasn't one ghost, but several.
Several ghosts, yeah. And there's 2 important ones. So, like as we mentioned earlier, they could not leave the house because they put all their money in the house. But now, supposedly, and I have my opinions about this, the most evil ghost was Bathsheba Sherman.
Mm,
She would do poltergeist activity to the family. Now, Bathsheba Sherman or Mrs. Arnold. You got to put the two together because Mrs. Arnold fits this description better than Bathsheba. And Andrea Perron has been quoted saying she don't think it's Bathsheba. It was Mrs. Anderson.
right.
Then she says it's Bathsheba. She kind of goes back and forth, but it's really up to the viewer to decide.
Mm,
Bathsheba hated Mrs. Perron because she was like the leader of the house. She loved the kids and she loved the husband. In the movie, she scared the kids, but according to Perron, she treated the kids good. She would tuck them in,
I'll
kiss
go
them.
back. This is who is this?
This is the Bathsheba, the evil witch in the movie.
So that's an actual person.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to the real
So
Bathsheba.
this person is not a spirit; it's an actual person.
No, 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 she's dead.
Oh, so the spirit would tuck in
Yeah,
the children.
yeah, yeah. The Bathsheba's a ghost. Yeah, she died in
All
like
right, now just for our viewers out there, that
yeah,
this is an actual spirit that
yeah.
I guess was good.
she was good to the kids and good to the husband because she wanted to be the mistress of the house. Like
Right,
when I say good, kiss him on the cheek, she always smelt good. She smelled like fresh roses when the mother smelled like Ivory soap.
right,
They knew there was something odd about her. So she would
right.
like maybe tug on the sheets. She would be groping the husband, but she hated the wife
Of
to the
course.
point to the point where she stabbed her with a big sewing needle.
And that actually happened.
That happened according to Andrea Perron. Yeah, that happened. You know,
Now,
I'm going
it's
by.
fascinating. We'll talk about Bathsheba in a little bit because some
Well,
interesting.
I got a whole thing on Bathsheba. Hold that thought to about the Crucible. Good.
Okay, before that though, so is she malevolent? Like, what is she? Is she demonic? Like, what's going on here?
Um, she's considered a poltergeist, but only to the mother. Only to the mother. She's
Right.
not evil to the rest of the family. But I personally don't think it's Bathsheba Sherman, Bathsheba Thayer she went by. I think it's Mrs. Anderson. So, like I said, Bathsheba was kind to Roger, the husband, and I'm going to get into her history. Bathsheba Thayer, who married into a guy named Mr. Sherman, Bathsheba Sherman, however you want to call her, was born in 1812 in Rhode Island. She married Judson Sherman in 1840. They were well-off family who lived near the house. Now she had three children that died, so she was a heartbroken woman. And her husband worked, and they, I think they had maybe one kid that lived, but none of her kids really lived. They all kind of died, but that's pretty normal back then. Stillborns and horrible things like that would happen. Um, but here's the rumors that they say about this woman that is really not documented anywhere. The townspeople said Bathsheba was a witch. She was watching a baby and she killed the baby with a sewing needle, a sewing needle that stabbed Miss Perron, mind you, parent, you know what I mean? And she killed a baby in a satanic ritual. And they said that she was a witch, but there's no evidence that she did this. Good. She wasn't arrested. There's no evidence of a woman named Bathsheba murdering or doing anything. This is just folklore and made up by centuries of people. It's not even in the town records.
Mm.
But Bathsheba's in the town records. Um, she didn't live in the Conjuring house. She lived around the Conjuring house. So people say that the real ghost in the Conjuring house doing all the bad shit is Mrs. Arnold, not Bathsheba. That's the debate, you know. But she was a ghost in that house, and I'm gonna explain that. So Bathsheba was just a woman, you know. Some say that, you know, she was a woman who lived near the house on the property. She had three kids that died. She was brokenhearted. Her husband died, her three kids died, and then she died at an old age of 80 of paralysis. And they made up these rumors about her that she was a witch, which are not documented. It's
Mm.
not in the documents. If she murdered a baby during those days, she would have been hung automatically, So I disagree with that. Any questions on that? You want to bring up the crucible,
Yeah.
the point you
So,
had?
okay. So Bathsheba, what year was she living in?
She's born in 1820, I believe,
Right, right.
or
It's
1840.
fascinating. It's a very interesting name, first of all, because I think we talked about this in Arthur Miller's iconic play, The Crucible. There is an interesting character by the name of Bathsheba,
Yeah,
and
not to be confused with Tituban, who goes back further. Yeah, I always confuse the two.
yes, I'm pretty sure Bathsheba. Oh, maybe hold on.
Wait, was it Tituban?
Wait a minute. Now,
I
are we?
think I think I mean,
Hold on. But anyway, if it's Bathsheba, I'm pretty sure it's Bathsheba because that name always stuck with me. Not because of The Conjuring, but even like um before. But this is okay. But this is Arthur Miller's 1953 play. which is not really like a supernatural paranormal thing, but more like sort of like a drug
Drama.
allegory, right? But
Yeah.
also takes place during like the Salem sort of like witch trials in a way,
Yeah,
right?
it might have been Tituban because
You
she
might be
was
right.
yeah, she
And
was
actually, they mentioned Kim Phillips War, which is fascinating. Oh, so no, I have that wrong. I'm so sorry. Tituba, Tituba.
yeah, Tituba, yeah. She was like from the West Indies, and she would crack an egg
Right.
and let the kids see, what was
Oh,
in.
but I will say this is interesting. And let me see. Bathsheba. I'd wonder where that name came from. Because
Great name.
yeah, and actually, just as a further connection here. Um, Now, okay, now I'm putting two and two together right now, right? We're gonna bring a quick religious theme. I'm just gonna look at 2 minutes because otherwise we'll be here for an hour. Well, David, King David of the Old Testament, and Bathsheba.
No, it's the same name.
It's
It's
the
really
same name, so she was named after that character, Bath.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right?
And
So this is
King
the woman
David's wife
King
was
David,
Bathsheba.
right? King David
Yeah.
killed a man, cheated on his girl, whatever girl he had, to be with Bathsheba.
Right, right.
Right, and Bathsheba is usually portrayed as very, well, not directly, but maybe a little manipulative because she was showering out in the open naked, and King David saw her and like
Yeah.
immediately fell in love. But it was
So
fascinating,
she
right?
represented lust, so that could be evil.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right, right. So that's where I kind of confused, and then you got Tituba from the Arthur
Yeah.
Miller um Crucible, which I recommend you read and watch.
Rock star. Arthur Miller's the man. Death of a Salesman and Marilyn Monroe. Guy's a rock star in my book, man.
Oh yeah.
You know. But the real Bathsheba was a regular person, down on her luck, lost three children. She lived to be 80 years old. She was not a witch. She might have had roots from Salem. That's about it in our family. So the house was haunted by many spirits. Not all were evil. There was a sweet child like spirit, Mrs. Arnold, who was evil only to Mrs. Perron
Hmm.
and nice to the kids. And then there was a darker ghost, a tall Arnold.
Hmm.
I killed three suicides. You know, just this is Lorraine Warren or somebody called it. It's a gateway to purgatory, not quite hell. I
Hmm.
don't think Amity was hell. This is a place that just house spirits until they, either go to heaven or hell. Enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. Now, this is where the movie plays with the history. And I was surprised years ago when I was studying this case, and Andrea Perron said this. Okay. So Ed and Lorraine were lecturing in
Right.
Rhode Island.
As an aside, you keep freezing up.
I do. And
Yeah,
this
your signal high?
hold on, maybe a minute.
See your signal if it's high, just in case you don't get cut off. You've been cut off several times. I'm hoping it records.
I think it should be good now.
Okay.
Uh, $600 for this friggin' 16. I'm gonna go off by AT&T. Idiots they are. I tell you, man. I had to go to Apple to figure stuff out. Those are the
Right.
people that know stuff. Anyway, so how am I now?
You should be good. You should be
Okay,
good.
okay. Maybe it wasn't plugged in. Why?
Maybe plug in too, because yeah, it keeps freezing before. So we'll see right now.
Okay. So enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. They got them at a lecture. A friend of the family said, I know these two people that can help you. Not sure if a priest came in. Maybe a priest did come in and was like, I can't help you, that kind of thing. And like the same, with the Warrens.
Hmm.
Um, so the Warrens come in, um, came in a few times, and they said, Mrs. Perone was doing really bad. She was getting, I don't know if I would say possessed, but turning into a woman 17th century. her skin, she was beautiful, and then her skin started to wrinkle. She started to speak in a language of Old English
Hmm.
people didn't speak. And that's why I don't think it's Bathsheba, because by the 1800s, people were like maybe speaking like us, but not as proper, you know, as like Old English. Um, and Andrea Perron's that. So the Ed and the Rain Man, they do a séance. They make everything worse. Andrea has seen the séance. Her mother was thrown across the room, speaking in tongues. Her body was distorting and she was getting possessed. So, um, the husband threw the Warren out of the house, said, "Don't come back," because they made things worse. This is true. This was said by Andrea Perron. But through the years, they did come back to check on them, but they probably spent maybe 2 days in that house, and that was it. Now, here's where Hollywood has it wrong. The Warrens made things worse. Not their fault. They tried, you know. They were maybe inexperienced at that time. And what does Hollywood do? Make the Warrens the king and queen who make everything go away, but it's a lie. It's really a lie. And that's the most important thing about this movie. That and Bathsheba, I think that the Warrens did not play a big role in this movie at all. And that's why, like, why do you think they make them so popular in this movie when they kind of made things worse and they didn't really help the situation? What's your opinion on that?
Well, I think that's fascinating because the movie portrays them as the heroes, right? And actually, they do a pretty
Yeah.
good job. It's sort of like they're the superheroes. So they come in,
Yeah.
and it's so great because in the movie, the first half, if you want to call it that, it's horrifying, truly horror, frightening. This demon is going after the children. It seems all hope is lost, and then in comes these two very happy, cute couple, and
Yeah.
but immediately you sense one can see things that the other one can't see,
Yeah.
and it's so sweet and portrayed so like a great masculine hero,
Yeah.
and they really saved the day. And I think that the Conjuring movies they come in and
Yeah. Ed did the possession of Bathsheba at the
right,
end, and
they
and
saved the
here
day.
and
And
here
it's crazy, but the real story that you just said is well, they actually made things worse.
it
All right,
did. According to now, this isn't my. I love the Warrens. They're
right,
they're the
right.
best. This is Andrea Perron who lived it, and the father Roger. They threw them out. That they did come back, and many years later, when Andrea met Ed died, Lorraine. They had no. She had nothing against her. She was still, but they didn't do anything. They didn't help the situation. Um, and only thing Lorraine said was, "Oh, I see a woman named Bathsheba," and that's where Bathsheba comes in. But she just said, Andrea Perron said, "I see a woman, Bathsheba." Now maybe there was some force using Bathsheba, that woman theory, as an evil spirit. The evil force was going through that woman and manipulating her to do stuff to, the mother. Or was it Mrs. Arnold, the mistress of the Arnold estate, who was doing that to the mother? That's the big question. So, you know, one, the Warrens really didn't spend a lot of time there. They were kind of maybe still inexperienced. This is the 70s. They only had 10 years under their belt, maybe a little bit longer, but with cases like this, as they got better, obviously through the years. Number two, Bathsheba was haunting the property, and Lorraine, obviously being a great medium, seen her and said, "Oh, it's that lady."
Right, right.
And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was Mrs. Arnold, or maybe the evil spirit went through Mrs. Arnold. Um, so what else do I got on that? So basically, to wrap it up, Andrea Perron thinks that the land itself is a vessel of evil
Hmm,
because there's so many murders from the King Philip's War to
100%.
everyone that I listed on there, and heartbreak from Bathsheba losing children. Mrs. Arnold hung herself, by the way. I don't know. I left that out. So
That's important detail. Now, why?
that I don't know. Like, well, because the house had spirits for all these years. That house was always haunted.
Hmm.
For
But she hung herself because of that?
nobody knows. There's no record of why she hung herself. I don't know.
What
Um,
happened to the husband?
that I can't find much on that. I can't find much on Mr. Arnold. The Arnold estate. I have to really dig, but there's not much on it. So you know most historians believe um the records other than the Bathsheba being a witch was made up through the years. But was she a witch or a real person, or was it really the property being possessed and evil? Nobody knows that. So
I
like,
will say, if I can shed some light,
yeah,
I definitely agree. It could be in the property for sure. And I think the
yeah.
Conjuring movie did an excellent job of that, showing you how spooky the place is.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But that being said, too, if and it's interesting because like I could see why the Lorraines kind of failed because if you believe in like true demonology, right, you're gonna have
yeah.
to know a thing about Catholic theology, and
Hmm.
the only ones that can exercise spirit, which one can do with under Jesus' name, is a authorized person that gets authority, and
Right.
that's the exorcist, right? The
Yeah,
one and sort of does an exorcism. Now, I think it's interesting because Warren they failed. Could
yeah.
have
Well,
that,
they didn't do an exorcism; they did a séance.
but if it's true demons, I don't think that's gonna work.
I think a séance was the big mistake because a
Right, right. And
séance,
well, if it's your demon, that's not gonna work.
yeah, a séance is gonna have it's like a party for the demons. So just for whatever spirits that come out, you're conjuring. You're conjuring. You know what I mean? Uh, uh, and I don't think Mrs. Perone was uh possessed like a possession. She was tormented, and the torment put a physical toll on her. And then the ghost would go in and out of her and make her speak old English. She aged.
That's
Uh,
possession. See,
It's a fi- yeah,
it's interesting because only demons can do that. See, if we make that distinction between a demon and a ghost, if ghosts are an actual thing, they don't do that. Demons do. They're the only ones that do that, and you have to let them in.
and well, this is from what Andrea Perone said. I think she felt her mother was just heavily influenced, let's say that way, by this woman in a negative way than being actually possessed. I'll put it like that. If that makes any sense, I don't know.
Mm.
But to speak old English into age when she was like young. She was
I
in
mean,
her 30s.
dude, that's possession.
I agree with you. I think it is. And that's why a seance, I don't know why they chose that method.
It's interesting, and I'm surprised the Warrens. I don't know if they've done an exorcism on the house because you're right. And at some level, there are certain sites in the world that have like negative dark energy because of the history.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That that when like let's say murders, like in that house,
Oh,
murder
yeah. Yeah.
horrible things with Bathsheba, um, that that energy and like spirit stays there.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there could be some sort of haunting, and that's one of the reasons why an exorcist or a priest blesses a house. That used to be a tradition.
Oh, yeah. I remember as a kid when we bought this house, the priest came in and blessed it. And I remember like watching Amityville going, getting more creeped out by that, going, oh my God, the priest did this to my house, But I think it's definitely an amalgam of ghosts, right? Like it's not just
Sounds like
it sounds like 50 ghosts, soldiers, dead children, suicide victims, Bathsheba, but not the Bathsheba was assigned by Lorraine. Oh, that's the ghost because she's seen a woman named Bathsheba. The land could have been working through Bathsheba, using her, possessing her, you
right.
know, or Mrs. Anderson? Those are the questions. Please comment below. I'm a researcher on this, and I'm going by a lot by Andrea Perron and her facts. So I really think Bathsheba is innocent. I think she was a woman who lived there, had a horrible life. Kids died, husband died. She died in 1880. She's buried close to the property. People destroyed her grave after the movie. They set it on fire, and these idiots like this.
Oh,
Go to the Rhode Island Library, or because you can't Google. This is stuff you can't Google. Like, to get deep, you got to go to public records. There's no record that Bathsheba Sherman killed a baby. She would have been stoned to death, hung, burned, you know. And there's no record that she was a witch. Somebody knows better than me, who's an expert on this, please comment. Or what are your thoughts? Do you think it was Bathsheba Sherman who possessed Mrs. Perron, Cindy Perron, or was it Mrs. Anderson? It sounds like crazy stuff, but what do you think, Manny?
I mean, it's hard to tell, and you would have to trust. I mean, obviously she lived it, but Peron's account. Um,
Was it- Then she see Perron changes her mind. This is interesting. They Perron family went back there. They were invited when The Conjuring was made.
oh wow.
So they went back, met the actors and stuff. But the mother said, "I don't want to go. I'm not going in that house." Mother's doing better. I think she passed away now. By the way, they lived in that house until 1980, and they were just living with a poltergeist and Bathsheba or Mrs. Anderson. They lived hard. Eventually they got used to it, so they'd have good days and bad days. But they sold it and they moved to Georgia in 1980. So now when they go back for the movie, Andrea said as soon as they walked in the house, they got a gust of wind that hit them all in the face. And
Hmm.
at the same time, the mother was getting up off the couch. She broke her leg in a hotel, not even there. But she said Bathsheba in this interview. So Andrea Perron, I don't know what her take is. Sometimes she says it's Mrs. Arnold. Sometimes she says it's Bathsheba. But she says it's Bathsheba being manipulated by the other spirits in the land that make her evil. So this is a tough one, and I like this because we always question in the end Starkweather, Amityville, who is doing these things to these poor people.
It's crazy because it's a little inconclusive. Conjuring, if you watch the movie, they give you, oh, okay, so it's this person,
Yeah,
this happened, hence this. And the reason why they do that is so it's easier. But I feel like the real story is a little murky.
yeah.
Well, we don't know at the end of the day. And, is the house haunted? I don't know.
Well, I definitely think the house is haunted.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm saying like, but from like a fact perspective, like let's say the scientists, we don't know. Like if it,
well, just like Amityville. Like, I was there last night. If somebody living in the house, I mean, Christ, they're living there, and they're not leaving. They've been there since 2017, unless they made friends with the ghost or they're just crazy. But yeah, the lady who bought the farmhouse said there's been no problems. She maybe would hear things every now and then, but she didn't have any problems. So maybe it was the fact that it was a big family, and either Bathsheba and Mrs. Anderson was jealous of that, and she wanted to be the mistress of the house. That's what is Andrea Perron's theory on that. And that's why the kids weren't abused or hurt or possessed in any way, but the mother was tormented, picked on, either possessed or heavily influenced by this poltergeist. Because that's really what it was considered, a poltergeist. So fact versus fiction in the movie, Bathsheba Sherman, not a witch, never convicted as a witch, lived on the property, yes. Horrible life, kids died.
actually, in the beginning of the movie, I don't know who was this, but Lorraine sees a person hung from the tree. Who was
Yeah.
that?
Well, Mrs. Anderson killed herself.
Was that Mrs. Anderson?
She hung herself. Yeah.
The movie, was that that person? I'm trying to remember.
No, and the legend is Bathsheba killed a baby and then sacrificed herself to Satan and hung herself. But
Hmm.
in history, Mrs. Anderson hung herself. So when they write these things, they take little miniature facts. They probably knew Mrs. Anderson lived in the Anderson estate. She hung herself on the property. Let's make Bathsheba hang herself, just like Maurice. You know, Chris McKellen really described the Maurice, from the Nun. He wasn't a Frenchy guy in Transylvania who was possessed by a nun. He was possessed by his father in Massachusetts, you know, and he was from Canada. So it's cool how they take these little things and they put it in. But if you want to study the Warrens, like I do, be a student of their cases, you get very confused. Don't believe any of the stuff in the movies. Do your own research. Um, you know, Go to the sites, go to the people, go to the actual families. They're going to tell you the truth and they're going to tell you the history. Andrea Peron's mother did all the work for you. Cindy did all the work, and then Andrea wrote all the books on it and stuff. She's really cool. Her interviews are cool. She's down to earth woman. I think she's definitely speaking the truth. Some people say like the Lutzes, might have been full of shit, but the Perons, no. I really, really think that's a legitimate case. And I believe the Lutzes too. I'm not saying that, but there's always been that debate. I don't think people debated The Conjuring. You don't hear people say, oh no, The Conjuring is all BS and all this kind of thing.
Until you mentioned it, no.
But as far as Bathsheba, I don't think she is the evil character we think she is. And that Warrens did not play a huge role in the movie. I mean, in reality, as they did in the movie, they would check on them from time to time, but they didn't. It actually stirred up things and made it worse. Not their faults. They're new at this. Probably it's the '70s. They haven't been doing it a long time. So, and Ed, always brought a priest with him. Why he chose to do a séance? That's a good question. So I don't know. Any final thoughts on this? This is good. I think this was a good episode. Did I make myself clear with everything? I hope everybody got.
Yeah, it's just fascinating seeing the differences between the actual story according to Mrs. What's her name? Mrs.
Anderson.
Anderson
Yeah.
versus what actually happened, and then
Yeah.
versus the movie, because the movie is definitely fictionalized, even though it's a great horror movie, kind of gets your mouth wet or your appetite going about figuring out more of who Ed and Lorraine are. And I
Well,
also kind of find it funny how the movies at the end they do like actual photos of them, so they make it seem like
yeah.
it was good. A horror movie should do that, but in
Yeah.
real life, like what actually happened. And
Well, the Perone family was behind the movie. They didn't stop it. They were consultants on the movie, and they knew in order to make money on the movie, they're not going to tell the real story. That's the thing. The families know this. The families know.
no, that I know, that I know for
Yeah.
sure. But it's just fascinating that aspect, because some viewers don't know that. They don't know that the movie is very fictionalized.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the actual story, you can kind of quickly see, all right, what the movie made up and use. And obviously in a movie format, especially a horror movie, you got to follow a great story structure.
You have to.
Notice The Conjuring has it down to a formula. Like I watched The Nuns,
Yeah.
Animal, where the first half of the movie is like, of course, spooky horror stuff and like
Yeah.
things, and then the Warrens come to save
I
this.
mean, the Nun. I watched the Nun. I wrote next episode we'll do. I did on the real Nun of Borley Rectory. The Nun to me is okay. It's a bunch of jump scares, but the Nun itself is so friggin' scary.
Uh, in the movie.
Oh yeah, and I think the
I was gonna say The
greatest.
Conjuring does such a great job. And again, like going before we talk about the number real quick, going back to The Conjuring, the way they portray the Bathsheba, right? The entity,
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, yeah,
it is frightening, and how it haunts. And actually, they got something's accurate, but kind of skewed, like how that spirit keeps bothering Mrs. Anderson in the movie, right? And when
yeah. Oh, you mean Mrs. Perron?
Mrs. Perron,
Yeah, yeah.
who was Mrs. Anderson that you kept mentioning?
She's the mistress of the house from the 1700s.
Oh, no, so I was referring to who was the lady who was getting haunted, Miss Perone.
Oh yeah, Miss Perone. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So it's either Bathsheba or Mrs. Anderson.
right.
That's the
And
question.
the movie made it seem Bathsheba, right?
Yeah.
But one of the best scares is when Mrs. Perone is in the stairs and goes down, falls down, right? Has a whole scary
In the
scene.
cellar. Yeah.
Stellar turns on, and Conjuring has it down to a science. But
They
this is
have
what
the jump scares down.
they, and this one's frightening because you don't, it's a basement. Of course, basements are scary. Lights go
Yeah.
up. She turns on the candle, like at first nothing.
Yeah.
On again, and you see two hands come out of
Oh, the evil
and
hands.
probably one of those, even I get goosebumps thinking about it, but
Yeah.
they're good at like that, and they got something sort of down. But
Hmm.
in actuality, like, and also it's interesting how the Warrens actually were not technically the heroes and might have made things worse. I agree with you, Sam's.
I no, they made things worse.
Okay,
This
okay.
is this
I
is
love the
yeah.
Warrens, by the way. I like
Oh
them.
no no. I'm only going by what Andrea Perone is saying. The Warrens are God to me, and they're the king and queens of paranormal um
Yeah.
stuff. Like, but according to Andrea Perone, the father kicked them out of the house because the mother was convulsing and
Right.
going
Makes
into like
sense. It makes sense because if they're doing a seance, right? Which, when I'll be honest with you, I'm heavily leaning on the real life. There was something demonic there for sure. Now, was
yeah.
it a portal to hell? I don't think so. But there
No,
was something heavy there. And uh,
I think the land was demonic. That's
something was up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Maybe the
yeah
enemy cursed it, right? Who knows? But the
yeah.
thing is, it's like they go in there, and I don't know why they did this. Obviously, if you do a seance with a demon, that is the most dangerous thing you can do because you pretty much just open the doors and portal for them.
Well, I
Easy.
don't know if they knew it was demonic yet. You know
Well,
what I
that's what
mean?
that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. Either they were amateurs or like they go in there thinking, all right, like it's just friendly ghosts. Let's see what happens. And then
Yeah, I don't think Lorraine picked up a demon. She picked up an evil entity, and she saw Bathsheba, and she said that that's the identity is Bathsheba, what do you call it? Like when they arrest the wrong guy, you know what I mean? And Bathsheba got pinned, but it wasn't. It was really Mrs. Anderson, you know. Um, and maybe they didn't pick up a presence like they did in Amityville. Like Lorraine said, Amityville was a portal to hell, literally a portal to hell. That was,
well, would make
and that's
sense.
when I was looking at that house. I'm thinking, am I looking at a portal to hell? I started to get a little freaked out by that. You know,
It was because you went there. Did we talk about it?
yeah, 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 we did, yeah, earlier.
There, and I'm like, it looks spooky. It has a
Yeah.
spooky vibe to it. Now, is it a portal to hell? I don't know. Um, but it is pretty spooky. And even like I don't know how the real Conjuring house looks like, but the movie also did a good job of portraying kind of like there's something spooky about it.
Thick
You know,
house that's been through. It had the old furniture from generations, and you
which
know,
itself is bad because it carries that energy, which
yeah, all the objects from the King Philip's War. So it's definitely purgatory of all those generations of the same family living there. You know, so The Conjuring did a great movie on it, but they got their facts very wrong. On the Warrens, and in my opinion, Bathsheba. Bathsheba was just a woman who lived on the property. I think it's
so the
Miss.
real story, Bathsheba was just a woman who lived on the property, turned
Mhm.
into some sort of spiritual entity that kind of had affection for the husband and the kids, but obviously because of jealousy or wanted to be the mistress, attacked. Um,
Exactly.
if that's true, that's interesting because then that raises the question: if she was not demonic, then what the hell was she? Like, does that mean that in the afterlife ghosts are stuck? Is this someone with?
Well, I think somebody called it purgatory. The house is purgatory. There's spirits that
And how
need
did
to
that?
be
And how did that happen?
because of all the deaths, suicides, murders. Maybe these
You know,
people
it's
didn't feel
funny,
so.
but from like a theological perspective, it can't be purgatory because purgatory is a place where unless again, I'm not saying this is true, but unless it's the one of the waiting places, for the spirits. I mean, I don't know, but
There was so much death that the spirits are hanging around to this day in that house, know. Um, so it's just an interesting case that, a lot of people need to study more if you're interested, you know, and not believe the movie. Like The Nun is complete BS.
which we're gonna talk about pretty soon.
Yeah. The coolest part about The Nun is the when she is puts her face and lines it up to the picture and her hands come out, you know what I mean? Like,
I know that picture is so scary, and you're right. I
oh
love the
God.
design of the nun. It's a good like um scary monster, like new like
It's like a new Freddy Krueger,
it
The
really is.
Nun,
And I see
because
what they
like
were trying to do. Like Annabelle.
yeah, Bathsheba didn't get enough of her look. She just looks like somebody from Evil Dead or When I Wake Up in the Morning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but
Right.
with the nun. The nun is, I can't even. You look at her and she's like, she's looking at you. She's
They did a good job, especially
she
the
did a
paint.
great job. And according to Chris, the grandson McKenna, he has his theories about Annabelle, which is interesting, that it might not be as evil as people think it is. There's a lot of power of suggestion with that thing. That's the theory he has, which I find, I love his theories on. I told you his theories on ghosts
Mhm.
and demonic possession. They're very fascinating. It's rooted in you know like science and quantum physics and other dimensions and things like that. It's a different take on it. He's got a book coming out. I definitely check him out, Chris McKenna on YouTube. He's to blow your mind away with his knowledge of the paranormal. Um, I'm learning a lot from him, talking to him and stuff online. But yeah, so I mean, what's your opinion? Who do you think is Do you think? All right, number one, do you think the Warrens stirred things up?
They did. They did. If enough to spook the husband and to kick them out, they must have seen something. They must have done
Yeah,
something and they saw something. And
right.
obviously the poor mother convulsing and all that probably wasn't a good thing. They're like, yeah,
Right.
let's just deal with how it was before. You're making things worse. But what was also interesting, how come they didn't call a priest?
They might have. I don't know. They might have, and the priest got spooked, and he was
But
like,
you know what's fascinating? Like in
"Did
like
they in the movie? I don't remember a
I
priest
honestly, I
coming."
don't remember myself. I have to give that movie a rewatch. Maybe I'll
I
rewatch.
know Ed always worked with a priest. I know Ed always worked with one.
Right. And
Because
what's fascinating is that the um the Catholic Church itself was starting to lose its belief in the time after the 1960s. It started to lose its belief in demons, and exorcists were starting to get a bad rap within
yeah,
the church. So they were very far in view because there was a thing called Vatican II. I don't know if you heard of it in the 1960s,
yeah.
but they started to change things.
Is that the modern when the modernist movement?
Yeah, they argue that that's when the church became modern. And one of the things
Yeah,
sort of saying they started to explain a lot of the paranormal demon stuff as psychiatric stuff. And The Exorcist portrays this pretty wonderfully in that priest who loses belief in everything. He's like, man,
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know if this is true anymore, like
yeah,
you see that, but then The Exorcist reminds you, no, it's actually a true thing. And I think that's the thing with The Conjuring. It reminds you of the real story. The movie's great because the movie can
yeah.
like want to learn more. But yeah, I think I think there was definitely something like something demonic because if the spirit starts to attack,
It's well, yeah, because a poltergeist it's got from a demonic force. You know what I
I
mean? It's
mean, I
not.
mean, was it? I know this is a weird thing, but was it some sort of Indian burial ground? Did Indians place a curse on it?
Well, it was during the King Philip's War. That's never only the soldiers in the house were brought up.
Oh,
Seven
and
dead
they're gonna
soldiers in the
hunt.
house.
The soldiers are gonna
Yeah,
hunt because I remember
yeah.
watching a special. One of the most spookiest things I've heard, the Gettysburg Field up in
Oh
Pennsylvania.
my! You've seen the video footage of that?
Do not
Oh
be.
my!
I do not because it's actually pretty frightening, and that field is
It
so
looks real.
yeah. Well, and that's the thing when there's an area that, and that's why in the Catholic faith you need a priest to bless the area, so that way they leave it,
Yeah,
right. And obviously, if you have an image of Christ or something, that'll, and a Virgin
yeah,
Mary will put up the spirits. I'm not sure if they were Christian, this family, but yeah, I think it's a fascinating case. It's kind of funny because it kind of the real story is a little inconclusive
yeah,
versus
yeah.
is concludes
I, I
wonderfully.
I hope I made my points where people could understand the
Oh yeah,
difference between, and then war is brutal, and Civil War people died brutal deaths, and
yeah.
King Philip's war was even worse, getting mohawked to death, and you only had a fucking musket. You had one round to get in and get it. You know, like people died like great. Here's another thing: The Exorcist. I'm writing that episode, and
It's
now I'm almost debunking the movie.
Well, you know what's funny? I think we should do this only because, a- and not because we hate the movie. We love the movie, and but there is a reality that I think people should know.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I know people, they look at The Exorcist and they assume that's how it is, or that's how it happened. But in actuality, no. And don't spoil it, but we're gonna start. You know,
But my theory is, which I don't know if people, obviously they had experts on The Exorcist, demonologists and stuff. Well, it was a boy, not a girl, and it did happen in Maryland, I believe, but where my research is. But the demon that they chose, and we talk, I need to find this out more, comes from the Lesser Key of Solomon, not the Bible. You know, talk about the demon Pazuzu in The Exorcist. It was a cult of people that would worship Pazuzu. Now, I'm under the impression only demons from the Bible could possess people. You know, there's
and
no,
my point, like yesterday, and I'm not even gonna go through it because I think we should stay for the episode.
yeah,
No, but yeah, like
like some of these demons in the movie, like Pazuzu, could that be a mythological demon? Because it's not in the Bible.
right.
So if it's not in the Bible, is it truly a demon? That I need to find that out. I need to find out. I know the Lesser Key of Solomon. If you talk to people in the occult, they're going to be like, "Oh no, that's all real. That's all real." Fine, but to a priest who does exorcists, like an exorcist, they're only using the Bible, and they're only using, the Bible, the demons that are in that Bible. Now, Satan had legions of an
You know,
army of,
Well, you know what's the thing with that is the priests, yes, they're using scripture and the Bible, but the thing is that, and it's kind of been known that there are many. The Bible
yeah,
just mentions a few of them. Like
right,
in my opinion. It's same thing with, and I know this might be controversial, but the angels. Yes, the archangels only a few are mentioned, but I feel as though there are more. That,
Well, where do you find that information? I mean, the Vatican
well,
must
the
have
only
it.
way to do it is maybe the Vatican has info, but the only way to do it is if you're a mystic and you find this out. Um, but some of the angels but what's fascinating is that I think the ones that the Bible mentions are probably some of the most powerful ones. So, for
Yeah,
example, in the Gospels, an army of demons called Legion identify
yeah, yeah,
where all these demons possess this one guy.
yeah,
And the demons, just to show you how awful they are, when Jesus exercised in them, because for him is nothing, they go into this herd of pigs, and the pigs commit suicide. They jump over.
right, 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 right. I know that story. Yeah, yeah,
Fascinating. There's a lot of mysterious things there. Another one is Beelzebub,
yeah,
which is another one, and obviously Satan, who is like the prince of demons, who is identified several times in the Old Testament. And actually, this is actually not a fun fact. There has been a theory, and again, I like to entertain this, that the serpent in the garden is not Satan himself. It's one of his soldiers. It's one of
mm,
his. He takes the form as a serpent. Now, a lot
yeah,
of people make the mistake of saying, "Wait, so God let why did he make this? It's not that he made it, is that it snuck in there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Took the form of a serpent, right? And there's a theory that that is one of and again, I don't want to know who it is, but it was one of the um, legion,
Right.
so yeah, it's
And
fascinating.
we don't know his name, but maybe Pazuzu was one of the
And
legions of
think about it.
demons.
I love the point you made. Why did The Exorcist pick them? I get it for the story. Like, you know
Yeah,
how
yeah,
for Nun,
yeah.
but then it turns kind of frightening because is this the actual demon trying to communicate itself? And The Exorcist did a very good job. Like,
Or is that just a myth from the Lesser Key of Solomon? Like Osiris and Iris and
maybe we'll talk about more in the episode. No, no, no. That was an actual beside the Lesser Key of Solomon, that was an actual demon that was not demon, but a god that was worshipped, like
yeah.
Murdoch.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, Murdoch's in the Bible as a
All
demon.
right, he's mentioned, but there are many more. For example, the gods and heroes of the Mesopotamians, like Gilgamesh,
Yeah.
akin. If you read them and some of the characters, they're kind of demonic,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
cults of religions developed around them, right? So
It,
it's like the Bible just mentions a few of them, but is it possible that these demons interacted with the peoples? And
yeah.
there has been another theory that's been entertained that the Greeks, when they were trying to explain their mythology or conception of the world, they encountered some of these, the offspring of the demons. That's where the idea of the Cyclops came from. So there are
Right, right. That's
wild
interesting.
theories, and historians, the Nephilim in the Old Testament too, not
Yeah,
the they're called the sons of God. Um,
yeah.
these are the offspring of the demons, right? So
Right, right.
you don't know.
So
The biggest,
when you think about Valak, Baal,
right?
and Pazuzu, they must be in the Bible. If
There's another one, Cheech, Lilith,
Well, Lilith was fascinating because she's a vampire.
right? And I had a student ask me, was she in the Bible and stuff? And it's fascinating because when I was looking at the history, it could be one of those things that might have been mythologized, but
Yeah,
maybe there's some truth to it.
she's not in the Bible, Lilith. She's in the non. What do you call it? The non. What's the word I'm looking for? The like the Gnostic Bibles. You know the stuff that didn't make the Bible.
Right.
So that Constantine kind of decided what went in and what went out. But there's got to be a demonologist, an expert who when they make these movies, they go to because they just can't like say, oh, let's pick this demon, let's pick, But then you get crazy people like me that are like, I don't know, was he really a demon or was he a myth? I want to know the truth. I don't want to encounter him. I don't want to summon him, but I want to know, was he from the Catholic Bible, which I study? Because they got my boy right here,
Right.
or is it real and it's in the Bible as one of the army, one of the legions that you said. So it's just fascinating, So like we'll never know, and people who play with that stuff completely out of their mind. I was watching a thing about
You are out of your mind, yeah.
people go to the Amityville house with Ouija boards in their car, like what we did.
It's like,
I
wow.
mean,
But
you know, like
you guys minus the Ouija board.
I seen something on YouTube with that. People had a Ouija board. And they went to the Amityville house. Ronnie,
That's so
or not Ronnie. They're at Dawn. Are you with us? And it's like, are you? What? What is wrong with you? Are you out of your freaking? I was scared. The 10 minutes we were there, I was like, holy shit.
I I am good because I do not want to kind of know, but nothing like this. I just want to
No.
watch it from the comfort of my room, put on The Conjuring. Like I really don't want to encounter these.
I've always liked to experience the real thing, like the Lizzie
And no, you
Borden
have. I
house.
know on live. You
No.
mentioned the story of you sleeping at the Lizzie Borden
Yeah.
house.
But I never would go in there and want to talk or make none of that shit, man. You to me you're nuts if you do that, no offense to people that do that, but I'm happy being, like a Geezer Butler, being inspired by these things,
Same
writing
here.
lyrics and stuff. But I like history. I like going to the historical place and say I've been there, uh, and say, oh, this is where this happened. I've been to Tombstone, Arizona. OK Corral, places like that. Oh, this is where this happened. This kind of thing.
I think you've been to Ontemeyer Park.
Ah. I've been
Yeah.
not, well, that's our next Vinny, Cheech, and Robbie excursion. You'll see that coming up. We're planning a trip to Untermeyer. Yeah.
I might go too, check it
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah.
apparently it's beautiful, so we'll see.
Well, yeah, Untermeyer, I had to go because I was like, oh my God, this is where the Son of Sam and the cult or whatever, we're over the Son of Sam now, but like the cult was doing their rituals in there. And whether you believe, once again, there's always that. Do you believe? Was it Bathsheba? Was it Mrs. Anderson? Is it Son of Sam? Is it Mauritary? Whatever. I love this. I love that we're asking questions. We're leaving this episode with unanswered questions
Mhm.
that people need to think about and let us know. Let us know your thoughts. That kind of thing. And but yeah, it's something not to be played with at
Yeah, for
all.
sure. I will
You
say
know.
as a PSA public service announcement for all our viewers out there, yeah, we do not recommend you play with this stuff.
Yeah.
Don't do what dumb people do, Ouija boards at Amityville, because honestly, you're opening up portals, which
Yeah.
I hope God's with you. I mean, you don't want to experience this in real
Yeah.
life. Just
I
see
mean,
this interview, they'll tell you. I mean,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Every 9 out of 10 times, an exorcist will tell you, "Oh, yeah, they were playing with the Ouija board, or they bought a witch book and they didn't know what they were doing." You know.
or they were reading the Satanic Bible, which I know anything I know this is controversial, but I know the Satanic Bible, like the satanic verses, like I hate to say it, if its name's on it, it carries its energy.
Anything that has a negative, not okay. There's a new modern day Satanist that's not evil. If you watch the movie, he'll
Right. No, I
Satan.
feel like they're just like nihilists that like maybe
I would more atheists than anything. They don't believe in God or Satan, and it could be that's their thing, and it's
which
fine.
is odd. Maybe we one day
Yeah,
we can go this we
yeah.
can
As long as they're not hurting people and they're not doing the satanic panic shit like what I grew up in. But you just don't want to play with that world. You just want to. For me, I like to experience history. I went to Amityville. I'm like, oh, cool. I got to see the house. I went to the Lizzie Borden house. Oh, that's cool. There's some haunted farms and farmhouses where I live that I've been inside. Um, in Lions Park in Port Chester, there's an old farmhouse. I knew a guy let me inside it and stuff, and there supposedly was a ghost there. You
hmm.
know, you know. So, but yeah, I've always been interested in the sites, but I'm not going there with these stupid devices going, hey, is there anybody out there? Can you talk? No, no, fuck that. I just want to say I'd been there, I'd done that, and it just that's it, man. None of this, you got to be crazy to conjure. But
But, I think we'll leaving this on
yeah,
conclusive note.
yes, great episode.
Good. I think I learned a lot. And this is our first episode delving into the Conjuring universe, movie by
Yeah,
movie. So I hope you as
yeah,
a lovely audience enjoyed yourselves.
yeah,
Took some notes and maybe made you think a little bit. And again, please comment below if you have any additional history, details, or opinions
yeah,
about Cheech and I. Because and if you've seen the Conjuring movie, what do you think? Right? What do you think about
yeah,
this versus the real history behind it? Did you think
yeah.
the spirit was Mrs. Anderson or Bathsheba?
Let us know.
Yeah,
You
let us
know,
know. Comment below. Give this video a like and subscribe if you want more content like this.
definitely, definitely.
Next thing that we're gonna be also talking about is what, Cheech?
I wrote the Nun,
Not,
and I'm working on well, we got the River on the music side of things.
we're not done with Bruce Springsteen, the movie.
No, no, we got Darkness on the Edge of Town, and we have Kemper.
Uh,
Oh my God.
and the Kemper, I'm gonna put a big rated R in the beginning.
I I finished it, and I had to cut it down like by the fourth murder. I described what he did in the first murder, and then I just said, yeah, just imagine what he did in the first murder to the fourth murder. That is, in my opinion, the sickest serial killer ever. You could have your Dahmer, your Son of Sam, you can have your Ramirez, you can have your Ted Bundy.
And they're sick themselves.
Kemper is the sickest of them all. I'm sorry, and the guy is a freaking genius. His IQ is like 180. he
Yeah.
fooled everybody when he killed his grand. This is a little preview. He killed his grandmother, went to jail at 15, and he fooled everybody by being a model prisoner. They let him out and free with no record,
Right.
and they
Right.
let a psychopath out
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kill again.
Yeah.
So.
You have
But
to look for
anyway,
good stuff. And then so we got music, we got true crime coming up.
oh, and then we have our favorite concerts
That's so
with
with Joe's
Silky Joe.
Silky Joe special is still a thing.
Yeah,
So
that's we got to
so
finish
the
that segment. So
company comes, yes. And so look forward for more content like this. I'm gonna try to
yeah,
release the episodes, so tune in weekly.
yeah,
Um and hit the bell button. I think you if you want to get notified for a new video, you can hit that bell button as well.
definitely. And
And
we have we did the new movie. We kind of did a review of the true story of the Smurl case, the
which
con the Conjuring Last Rites that you didn't put out yet. Where we talk about the Warrens and we talk about the
yes,
museum.
that's gonna come out first because that's like the door.
Yeah.
I guess the portal is gonna open to this universe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we talk about Matt Rife and the museum. We talk about the
I might
small
put up
case.
all these episodes this week, so and because I know
Yeah,
I'm a little behind, but I want to get back on track. But
yep.
yeah, so and again, this is the Cheech and Manny show. I got the people's basis right. I'm
Thank you.
in front of me here,
Uh,
and true crime expert and Warren,
Thank you.
yes, and expert, and
Thank
it's
you.
so amazing, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it out so our audience can watch and like join in.
And Manny's the religious, psychological expert breaking down, where these demons come from in the Bible and all this stuff. It's amazing. So
I love it too, man. And I hope our audience learn out there. And again,
yeah.
we're not trying to convert you to our faith or everything, but we're trying to make you think, right? Where did this
Oh
stuff
yeah.
because it
And
doesn't come out of like the blue, like it comes from some
no.
place. And
Yeah.
actually it's an ancient history, which is fascinating, right?
Yeah. And why does the Bible only work? I've always found that fascinating. Like that.
Well, and
That
look,
you could you could research that, do your research on why when you go to an exorcism all over the world they use a Bible. People
it's
may
this,
disagree with me on that, but I'm coming from, like Malcolm, what's his name? The famous exorcist, Malcolm, Malachi Martin. I'm sorry, Malachi Martin. He's the guy, Malachi Martin. He said you need a Bible. That's all you need in faith. But anyway, that's it on the Conjuring. We kind of drifted off into all
yeah.
kinds of
I
crazy.
mean, this is good, and then please, for our audience, get used to it because this is how the show's gonna be. I feel like this we found the perfect formula, and again, this is the people's podcast, right? So
Yes.
we're not pretentious. We're actually talking about topics that probably you want to talk about, and
Yeah.
you've been looking to talk to someone about it. Well, this is your
Yeah.
podcast, right?
Definitely.
Again,
You know,
and
and
that's
what you're gonna learn is facts. You're gonna learn facts and the truth. Is the best is our knowledge. And with music, with horror movies,
yeah,
with the paranormal, all that stuff. Facts are what we try to get out there and get everybody to get into it. And thank you to our young fans. Thanks for the AI of
yeah.
Cheech. I
I
enjoyed
have to
that.
give you, Cheech, I have to give you this packet of art. Wow, and I'll leave it at that. If they're watching this episode, because yeah, you become sort of like a caricature in the best way. Like,
Thank you, my young fans, and don't be scared of this episode because it's a movie. It's all a movie, and thanks for the fun stuff. Makes me laugh.
they're funny. And again, I think they, they're just so
They
funny.
made a packet for me.
Yeah, they made all scrapbooks. I'll share that with you. And if they're watching this, they're gonna get a kick out of it.
I
But
was telling Bobby about them. Bobby got a kick out of it. He's like, "Oh my God, that's so cool."
honestly, it's the best compliment, right? If
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I
young and like bright minded are like tuning in and getting us, you know,
Yeah, that reminds me of me when I was little. I was a sponge, soaking up the paranormal, soaking up music, soaking up history. Then one day, when you're an adult, it just all becomes one thing. You're just like, oh, I have all
yeah.
this knowledge.
And then you think back, you're like, wow, thank you for this one person that. opened this door for me. And actually, and I don't know, one of the best, and I'll end here. It's so sad. One of my former students left this year to another school.
Yeah,
It's an amazing little person. Turns
yeah,
out, young heavy metal fan. And I told her, listen to Iron Maiden, listen to System
yeah,
Down, and
yeah.
I got an email from her saying that thank you so much, Miss. And she left.
Oh,
It was so sad, but I love that experience. Like, yes, we're teaching, but also it's like that mentorship, or like,
but that's why you're a great teacher, because you gave a kid a gift of knowledge.
yeah,
That kid will remember you forever. Just
yeah,
like you remember the guy who played Bruce Springsteen in your 10th grade class or whatever.
easy. And I'll be honest with you, I forgot his name, but that memory's in there,
Yeah,
which is
you
not
know.
actually with my civics teacher. I should give him a shout out. But I don't remember him from 10th grade. Put on Rush's Witch Hunt, and that was my first Rush.
That's a great teacher.
How
That's a
crazy is that? That dude was great.
gotta love that.
He
I
was teaching
remember
McCarthyism,
well
which he
my
got it. He was teaching us McCarthyism, and
yeah,
the Witch Hunt. That's what that song was about. Which
that's genius. I remember being in religion, like I took religion instructions, and I always went against the grain, and I brought up the Exorcist, and the priest was like, no, we don't talk about that in this class. We will not talk about exorcisms or movies. And he's looking at me. I didn't even wasn't even a metalhead. I was just like a fourth grader. So that's something you do not talk about and don't bring it up again. And then my mother said at the end of the year, just then I know we got to go of the year, like around January. Um, the church, Our Lady of Mercy, would have a sheet of everything that they performed. So my mother said this to me as a kid, and I was scared shitless. 100 communions, 200 baptisms, 300 confirmations, 50 weddings, three exorcisms. And it's like, what? In Port Chester or wherever, or it could have been in Europe, who knows? But they had to put it in there. They did. She said it was like a low number. It was like three or four exorcisms. So made me think.
yeah. Well, and yeah. But anyway, maybe we should do an episode on exorcism because there's so much about him.
Yeah.
That's like I love talking about it because it has to do with religion. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheech, this is great, man. I'll see
Awesome.
you very soon. Definitely at the temple.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and it was great. We had our reunion
Oh,
at,
we were kind of like
at the
that,
temple.
that day, man. Talk about we were living in the temple of Syrinx. Like,
We were,
what?
we worked together, and the priest were like, "Why?" It was like somebody said, "Was it? How was it with Manny? You guys have a good time?" I said, "It was like me and Manny were about to rob a bank in the old west, and the
Oh, no,
sheriffs were just ready, waiting for us."
felt it. They were waiting for us to slip.
Yeah, and we fooled them because we did hang out a lot. We got them. We
We
got
did
them.
it. We
We did
got
the
it.
right thing.
And,
So
and then one more shout out. There's this one of my also current students who use the temple terminology, and like I was like, this kid is going places. Like, because he was saying that someone asked me, how did you and I meet? I didn't say nothing because I keep telling him, don't talk about it. Teacher,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
detention, right?
yeah.
And he's so funny out of nowhere. He goes like, "Oh, I know the temple." I was like, "Yes, yes."
And then a shout out to our new boy Jose.
Oh, Jose.
Gotta
You
love
know, it's
him.
funny. I saw him on Sunday, but I was so nerved out with,
Yeah.
I was in a
Yeah,
bad mood.
yeah, 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 yeah.
I mean, later on, I got in a good
There
mood.
was a bad vibe that day.
And I saw Jose, and obviously the priests were still there, so I try not to get him into trouble.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sadly, right? I picked up that guitar, and I'm trying to make a statement here, that proverbial guitar, and now I'm kind of in the hot seat too, so I didn't want to get
Yeah.
him in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's
Yeah,
such a cool
such a-
guy.
hopefully we can talk. I'll talk more to him about music.
Yeah. He's into everything we are, which is fantastic.
Channel,
What's that?
subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, yeah. He said to me, I was explaining our
Check him out
newspeak.
on Sunday. Dude, leave a comment, brother. We're gonna give you a shout out.
Yeah. I was explaining our newspeak language, and he goes, "Oh, I know all about it."
I
He goes,
know it's like our version of Newspeak
he
Temple.
goes, he goes, I picked it up. And he said the temple. And I said, you got it. You got it.
I
So,
love
he's one of the few. One of the few.
I love it, man. I love it. But anyway, Cheech, this is
Yeah, man.
great, brother.
Good
Uh,
to see you. See you
yeah,
soon.
likewise. I'll see you soon, and until the next Cheech and Manny show.
Awesome. Have a good one. Take care.
You, brother.
Bye bye.